What's up, everybody? It's your boy Jack here with my co-host Christine.
Hey, world.
This is the third episode of the HOPCOLG podcast. I have a couple of guests with me. Got Mr. Juan Willis and brother Trey Charles Wyndham III.
How y'all doing?
What's going on with y'all? Today's episode, we're talking about crisis on youth. All right. Or the youth crisis in the community, right? Or just in the social atmosphere in general. So I guess what the first question would be to direct it to Trey, right? What do you think the youth need from their community / church?
So in my opinion, I think they need better leadership as a whole.
Okay.
And that's from maybe not even like the parents, starting with the parents, but like people, my age, you guys' age, just like people that can relate to them to get people back in the church. Because me personally, it's kind of hard for me to get back in church because of the fact that I can watch it online or something like that, but and it's just easy, instead of just having to come here, interact and everything. But I feel like if it was more like engaging for the kids to get back in the church, or not even kids, but like young adults to get back in the church, I feel like we'll come back.
I feel you. Yeah. Mr. Willis, Deacon Willis. Sorry about that.
Well, I agree with Mr. Wyndham, Trey, with that one. I think how the older we get a little more disconnected from the youth. And then you got to think back and remember, well, I was young too, and the same issues, there's nothing new under the sun. History repeats itself. What we had issues with our parents and our leaders in the church because we didn't feel like we were being heard and you didn't have anything that we wanted to do. You didn't like our music. I think it happens over and over. It's the same cycle that continues. So we have to be open. And that's one thing, not to give a plug to our church, but that's one thing I'll give to here and our Bishop Porter, that he kind of tries to stay connected. Even if it's just a saying, something that the youth say right now, a word you may use, he tries to incorporate that. And we're learning, we're getting older, but you're never too old to learn. We're learning that we have to be open, and you have to be heard, and you have to nurture, because you are the leaders, the next leaders of the church. And if we lose you, when God calls us home, who's gonna be here for the church? So I agree with him. You have to be open. You have to be heard. You can't judge everything. You can't see everything as just wrong. Just like the Kurt Franklin song, young people, you can dance for Jesus, Come on, let's do it. So you can incorporate a lot of what's going on, but you have to do it. You have to be there. You have to open your doors, let them be heard, let them be loved, let them be nurtured, and let them know we do care. We want you here.
Yeah. When I think of youth crisis, this topic, to be honest, Trey actually pointed it out. The youth aren't coming back to the church like they would typically do, and work at the church and be more engaging, especially once you hit that high school, you go to college. It's like, I'm on my own. Like, I'm about to do whatever I want to do, But also on another side of it, it's the youth in the community, especially here in LA. You see a lot of the robberies of people following people home, or even there's been a lot of rappers dying, which in the 90s, that was common, and now you think, oh, it's the 2000s, people have more awareness of what's going on, and it's like, nah, when I think of P&B Rock, like, I go to that Roscoe's, so it was like, I could have seen that easily, so, but over generations, each generation has had their problems with their youth in the community. So Juan, can you tell us a little bit about, what it was like for you?
Well, just like you just said it, Christine. Same way. My mother, we grew up Seventh-day Adventist, and my mother dragged me. I was drugged to church, didn't necessarily want to go, and as soon as I was able not to go, I didn't go. And I didn't regularly attend until I met my wife, Lynette. I was pursuing her, so I had to do what she needed done. And I came to church, but no, that's so true. And generational, women have always been the majority of the members. And guys, you know, we fall short in the community. And you can go back in history. I know there's reasons, societal reasons for that.
Yeah.
But as men of the church, we have to raise our boys to plant that seed. Because you may fly away. But, you know, like the Bible says, you train up a child in the way he should go. When he's older, remember, he'll come back. He'll remember those ways that he learned. So that's we're hoping that we can have the church open enough and do enough things to incorporate the youth, so if they go away, it's not as long, and maybe they won't go away at all. But I'd say we're definitely lacking in that part, though. We really are.
Yeah. And you know, in the last podcast, I think it was the last podcast we did. I quoted Joel 2 and Acts 2, right? 17. I think it's 17. I think it's Joel 2:7, Acts 2:17. Don't quote me on that, but you know, go look it up for yourself.
There you go.
But it says, in the last days, I'll pour my spirit upon all flesh. Your children will prophesy. Your young men will have visions. Your old men will dream dreams.
There
right?
you go.
But it's like the natural succession of how, through evolution, not the theological aspect of evolution, but just natural progression, how we grow up as humans, just naturally how things, you know, how we see things, right? When you're young, you think about what you want to do when you become of age. Then when you get to that age, you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I got a vision. I'm going to see it through. And then when you're older, you're thinking about the stuff that you did before and what you want to leave for people coming up behind you, right? But if you actually take it a step further and go further back, I agree with what you said about the cycle being repeated, right? About, you know, the tension that we have with, you know, younger generations and older generations and being able to communicate effectively. That's a big one. And the reason why, because if we look at the law, right, and we go into Leviticus, right, we see that from age, so if you're a priest, you know, Levi, right, from the age 1 to 25, once you start 25, you start doing like your temple duty, right? But from age 1 to 20, you're considered like a child still, right? When you hit 20, you're able to go to war. But if you have a child, you can't go. You gotta stay at home for a year and then go. But then when you hit 25 as a Levite, they don't fight, but they just do all the temple work, right? You start your ministry, like all the temple stuff you would do at 25. Then you become a rabbi at 30, right? You can't teach until your age of 30 because a certain level of maturity you have to have. That's why Jesus didn't start his ministry till he was 30.
Right.
He had to do all the steps,
right.
that his culture needed, right? Then at age 50, you stop all your temple work. Now you're just counseling them on the right things to do. And I'm looking at it now. I'm looking at it, you know, in hindsight now, right? And I'm like, that's a great way to look at things, because like once you get to the age of 50, like, it's like you start disconnecting.
Right.
Once you get to that age, you like, this music ain't what I'm used to.
Exactly.
They're not speaking to me. Want to listen to music, you like, I feel like I'm losing brain cells. Trey, what you got on that?
I feel like with that, it's with everything. So for example, for me, I like watching boxing with my dad and his older homeboys. Like, you know, I learned a lot from sticking around them and being around them in general. I don't have a problem with it. But only problems I do have is when a rapper might come out with them and walk them out, or even the boxers that's around the ring and stuff. They have their chains on, they doing stuff that young men would do. Yeah. Oh, he gonna have to return that in the morning. He gonna have like, oh, what is he saying? What is, like, the rapper coming out? What is he saying? Is like, you don't want to hear that. So at that point, you like, okay, like, I'll listen to you on this end and help me out, but like on this end, I'm like, man, y'all just talking, bro. Y'all hating, you know? I'm not trying to hear that. You know, so it's really just a disconnect, really.
And there's another story in biblical, is like Job. When you look at the story of Job, and Job, you know, was a righteous man. God called him, right? And then he started having all this bad stuff happen to him because God tells us Satan to go test him. Like, that's my servant. Go
Right.
do what you need to do. And all this bad stuff is happening. Job's friends who were around his age started like, yo, what happened to you? Boom, 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 boom. And it's like in chapter 40, 41. And like, just from you reading chronologically, right? You only think there's 3 guys. There's Job and the 2 friends that's complaining about what's happening to him, right? But there's also another guy there named Elihu. And Elihu's just sitting there talking, but he's younger. He's just sitting there listening to them talk. And he usually comes to them, like Trey, and sits in their company to like learn from them.
Right.
And then halfway through, Elihu just got fed up. He's like, bro, what are y'all talking about? Why y'all sitting there just
Right,
complaining?
right.
Yeah, that's what it
This
seems
is
like.
God we talking about,
Right,
man. But
right.
all right. So what do you guys think the source is for the crisis? Like we see like a lot of symptoms. Like we see violence, right? We see miseducation, all these things. These are like symptoms of the problem. What do you guys think the main problem is in the community or in the church?
I'm gonna go first.
Yeah.
All right. So, you said in the church or just in the community?
In general, because the
In
church is
general?
part of the community.
Yeah, I get you. Okay, so in my opinion, from like seeing my peers and stuff like that, a lot of us get lost in social media.
Okay.
And like what social media does is it puts a fake persona out there of what you should be doing. Oh, this person just posted that they graduated. I'm behind.
Yeah.
Oh, this person just posted that a bunch of money on their story that's not theirs, and now I feel like I'm broke. You know,
Yeah.
So it just messes up a lot of people's perceptions on themselves,
Yeah.
put them in dark spaces. That's why me personally, I stay off of it. Like I stay on a little bit just
Yeah.
to see what's going on,
Yeah.
but like I try to take as much time off of it as possible because
Same.
you get lost in
Yeah.
it, you know. And I feel like that affects what's going on in the community, and naturally violence and everything is gonna happen anyways. It's just in us to be violent.
Yeah.
You know, we can't help it.
Yeah.
But well, some of us can, but it's just in certain people to be like that, and I feel like social media amps it up.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. I feel you.
that's what the source.
Agree again. I think the social media, see, we didn't have to deal with that. At least I didn't. You know, being above the 50 range, I didn't. It wasn't a problem. And that's something we do have to look to, too, because we know how media-driven can drive the narrative anyway. So
Yeah.
now you have something where you guys are on and you can be bullied, you want to have likes, you want to be, you know, it puts the whole world in your little hand, and all this, you can, like the story is out before it even, you know, it just happened and it's live now, it happened, everybody sees it.
Right.
I don't know if I could have coped with that, but I understand that's how it is. So that's why we have to set the foundation again even more, and we drop the ball because we let a lot of our youth not feel accepted in the church, not feel wanted, didn't have a youth minister per se or a youth program, and you couldn't come here. What's wrong with having a Friday night dance sponsored by the church?
I know, right?
You know what I mean? We have to do things like that. Well, you know, we do have a youth Sunday where you get to run the service, but we need more.
Yeah.
And social media has definitely hindered you guys a whole lot because it's.
I got a question for that. So with a youth dance, like how would that work? Just with the fact like of how kids are and how young adults are, how would a youth dance be fun enough to come to?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You see?
You know, I
He's
get
talking.
you.
He's
Just
talking about the.
Like
musically and-
yeah, like musically
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything
No,
like
I
that.
totally get it.
And that's
I
the
don't-
hard
look,
part. I feel like it.
I don't want to be a hypocrite now.
Exactly.
Now we sitting here in church, but you know, when me and Deacon Ken already know I got a nickname. They call me Deacon Damn. Now I may slip every now and then, so I understand. So musically, I understand because I listen to it too. I try to stay up current because you know I don't want to seem like the old fuddy-duddy. But so I like music. I like new music. I don't like all of it, but I like new. Definitely love old school. I like everything.
Yeah.
So on that aspect, as long as we're still have a certain decorum and reverence, hey, we party and we listen to music and we listen to what they saying and we listen to the unedited version. I'm not against it, because it ain't no fun. Look, I even my kids, and I'll short a little quick one. I don't remember it was Lauren Orion's party, but I had to play all these edited versions of songs, and I didn't like it, and the kids didn't like it. So at a certain point, I just had to say, tell the wife, for the older people that don't want to hear it, they can bounce, because you want to hear the song.
Yeah, the way it was
And
written.
there you go, the way it was written.
Yeah.
And I'm not against that. So, we just may not have it in the fellowship hall to dance.
Yeah,
We can't be that close to the building.
I got you.
But I won't be a hypocrite.
But also, I have to say, like, there's a lot of gospel and Christian music that has
Right.
changed
Yeah.
over
Right.
time. I
Exactly.
remember when I was younger, rapping, about God and things like that was not acceptable.
Right.
Now I can play multiple rap, Christian music, and it be popping.
Right.
know.
Right. Come on.
And banging, yes, Kenny, banging.
sir.
So you can switch it up all the time, but I'm totally with y'all.
Right.
Sometimes I just want to hear music
There you go.
and
Come on.
be with other like-minded
Right,
people
right,
where I can be in
right.
a safe environment,
Right. Exactly.
No, that's the thing about that I love about the word, just the Bible as a whole. Is everything is in there.
Right.
Like
Right.
it's not just all right, Jesus holier than thou.
Come
this,
on.
this, and this. There's a whole book in there
Right.
about Song of Solomon. If you not know, like Solomon
Right.
was like King Daddy, if you
Right.
say.
Come on.
Yeah, like he's worse than his dad. Like,
Right.
he had
Come on.
1,000 wives, bro.
Right,
Like,
right.
1,000. It's
on.
not like a metaphor. Like he
Right.
literally had.
Right.
And then he wrote a whole book that's in the Bible about a woman that's not his wife, that's supposed to be married to another woman, to another man.
Right. Right.
And it's very steamy. Like when you get to chapter 8, it's very steamy. But it's in there because we human, we gotta
Right.
live. Like
Right, right.
God didn't make robots. You know what I
Right.
mean? He programmed us, but he programmed us to make our own decisions, right?
Right.
And that's just the part about living life. You gotta know, like, a straight and narrow has two sides. You can live on that edge if you can trust yourself on that
Right.
edge. Right? You still in the path. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But yeah, I do agree with you. Social media has played a big part in how we view ourselves, like self-esteem, right? And there was one of the a friend posted on social media. He was like, I show you my entire self. Like I have bad days, I have good days where I don't want to work out. I have like, all these days, and I show you everything. A lot of people just show you the good day. Like the only time you see them post is on Friday. What happened on Monday? You didn't look this good on Monday. Like, but it's like a very
Right.
bird's eye view of the thing.
Well, you work in law enforcement, right?
Yes.
See, I didn't even know that
Oh,
until, I feel so oblivious sometimes. But I know that, I guess, what I remember in Shreveport, Bishop Maiden actually worked with law enforcement to make sure that the church was connected to the community
Right.
and everything that's happening. Are there church organizations that work with law enforcement? And if so, what do they really play a part in doing?
That's a good question. There's what I've seen. There's not a whole lot. I mean, you see what you see on the news, and always when the chief or the sheriff is going out and they're trying to, solicit you for certain programs or whatever, they'll go to the church leaders. But I don't necessarily see the actual community outreach, so to speak. But I think, in law enforcement, historically, we've been, how do I say this? We've been traumatized. So I do understand the disconnect, but I just think we, especially as young men, we have to teach our young brothers that, it's better to not fight that fight in the street, even if you're gonna get arrested. Don't have that fight street level. Have fight in court. And I know that's easier said than done because we've had a raw deal in the court system as well. But I do think just knowing the people that I've worked with, men and women that are honest, a lot of them God-fearing individuals. They don't have that intent to want to go out and do harm to an individual, but just the sheer nature of the job that a lot of times, you know, the fight is on. But I don't think there's that, I want to go out and disrupt this young man or woman's life. I don't think that intent isn't there. They just want to do their job. But I know historically we are fearful of that because we get, you know, a lot of times our outcome wasn't so positive. So we tend to want to run, we want to fight, but I think we just have to just remember to instill in our youth to please just be respectful, just like you want your teacher wants respect at school, your parents want respect at home. I think you should give that officer, you know, even if they're a little pumped up, you try to, you know, bring that down and say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, I'm doing what you told me to do. I'm not trying to have a problem. I would like this to end positively as well. And that's the start. But I do know we do need more that look like me, that know, that come from these neighborhoods. But again, a lot of the officers that don't, they still don't necessarily mean you harm. So if you go along with their program, for the most part, 9 out of 10 times it'll turn out all right. But we dropped the ball. We need to be in the church talking to our youth and having the mentorship and bringing officers in, and you know, this is the protocol. If you react this way, and then talk. A lot of times I can even remember growing up, we didn't even want to talk. And you have to engage. Communication is the only way we can do it. You got to communicate. And that way that it breaks down the barriers. And this is what I'm talking about, sir, and you listen to me, and I listen to you, and we come to an understanding. And I think that's needed, and I think that ball has been dropped too.
Yeah.
Definitely needed, though.
Yeah. I was just talking to Jack just to prepare for this, and then that's kind of where I figured out that you was in law enforcement.
Right.
I was like, nah, not one. He's so nice. Family man, so sweet. Like, no, absolutely. Like, I can't put that in my head, you know? But then again, I have to take a step back, and people have certain jobs, you know, and they're in the community for certain reasons. And not everybody that you think, not everyone that's in a certain position has the same mentality as the person standing next to them. And I feel like the past 2+ years, social media has played a part in this, where it's been a heightened, you know, hate and disdain for law enforcement. But there are people who have families, you know, there are people who still are somebody's sons or daughters. That's still a life, you know, and I'm a life too. Amen. And I want somebody to take that into consideration when I'm standing in front of them, you know. So thank you for everything that you do.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Trey, what is your take on law enforcement as a whole? From
Especially you, young, you know.
I mean, it's a nervous factor when you see, just like with social media showing you everything. I feel like at you guys' ages, you guys didn't get to see everything that happened, you know, like maybe with Rodney King, and that's why everything went down. But I'm talking about like with Juan, but like maybe not y'all, but like we're able to see
around the corner from
hold up. No, I'm saying like maybe y'all able to see. Well, we're able to see people actually getting gunned down. Like we're actually able to see people getting killed by the police, even if they do something remotely wrong or something like that. To be running away from somebody and getting shot over and over and over again. Something just happened. I forgot where it happened at, but a teenager was in the parking lot eating McDonald's, and an officer, in Texas, and the officer tried to tell him, "Hey, get out the car." I would be scared, in my opinion. Like, why you just opening my door, and then dude just start dumping on him? You could have killed that kid. It's a teenager. So like with that, I've never been pulled over. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but I will be. Yeah, I'll knock on that later. But hopefully, you know, I don't have to go through that. And if I do have to go through it, hopefully I get somebody that's doing their job and not trying to, you know, go the other way. But it's in the middle, because me personally, I will call the police. I don't care. I'll call the police. I don't have a problem with it. But it's just the fact of doing your job when you're called on. You know?
And I got a lot of friends that are in law enforcement because of the nature where I come from, like in the military, they naturally like trickle down when they come home. All right. But I have a lot of friends in law enforcement, and some of the stories that they tell me of the stuff that they can tell me, right, is like, first of all, y'all schedules are amazing. Let's get that out the way, especially for LAPD. They work like 14 days out of the month. they work like, but the schedule is crazy. They work like 3 12s, and then they get like 4 off. Then they go back for 2, and they get like 1 off. Then they go back for 3, and they get 2 off. I'm like, what? But that 12 hours is nuts. Like the stuff they see. Like my friend, he told me he went to go do a wellness check. And the lady was like just in her house, like dead on the door.
Oh.
Like you just walked into that. Like you going, but you gotta be mentally prepared for. But what I'm saying is, they see the city a certain way. So, is your responsibility, is our responsibility, to shift their perception when they come into contact with us. Right? It's like,
I agree.
I like to give every biblical perspective, right? It's like every time the Pharisees came upon Jesus, they came at him with malicious intent. Like they came to do harm. They questioned him with the intention of, oh, we about to get him right here so we can kill him. But Jesus had to combat that, not with, the same militia, but with kindness, kind words, that sort of thing. And sometimes he'll tell them, y'all tripping, y'all some fools, or y'all some hypocrites. But for the most part, he's just teaching them. You know what I mean? Just telling them the right thing. This is this, this is that. Boom. And I'm going to go walk on some water. Bye-bye. So with that, right, what do you think the church's responsibility, what do you think the church's responsibility for the current social climate? Do you think the church holds any responsibility in that regard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, again, another aspect, I think once we weren't so political anymore because we can't be. Once you took the nonprofit in, and is what it is.
501c3. Sorry.
Is what it is. You can't take a stand one way or another because you'll lose that tax exemption. So we kind of sold ourselves out for the community in a way. So. But I think there's other ways. You still have to get that connect. You have to get that connect back with our youth. And it's just like, and I hate to go backwards. I know that's a new topic you just introduced, but I just want to say one thing about policing, too. Just imagine, you know how when you drive down the street, you don't necessarily see what's going to happen 5 minutes later, what has already happened. You just drive by and think it's a nice day. Yeah. But when you have to drive around a certain area all day, you begin to see everything the person who's just passing by doesn't see. Yeah. So just on that mindset, when Jack said that you got to present us in a different light, a better light, because officers and sheriffs and police, whatever, all they're seeing, and they're getting called to, and they're seeing the worst. Yeah. They're seeing all the bad things. It's like, I just drove by. It's like funny how you just drive by and then you come back home. Say you went to the market, you come back home and now it's a traffic accident, and someone lost their life, or someone just got held up with a gun, or this guy got shot. So you're seeing all this negative when the average person is just driving by, doesn't see it. Yeah. So when we get pulled over, that's why, again, take that deep breath. And everybody hates that inconvenience. You know the nervousness right when the lights come on. Yep. You're like, oh, yeah. Or even before the lights, when you just see them in the mirror, you're like, oh, here we go.
I be checking triple time.
Every time.
Exactly. You tell your boy, don't look. Don't catch them, because they turn back. What they looking back at us for? They must have done something. They have to know. It's a back and forth. So again, take that deep breath. Good afternoon, good morning, whatever, and just try to stay level-headed. Because I don't get me wrong, look, Trey, I've got pulled over so much because I listen to loud music. Tint the windows, the music is bumping. I've gotten pulled over hundreds of times. So, and I still get that little nervousness, even though I'm about to, have pretty much a decent encounter. But I definitely get it because I'm in the hood. So, that's one thing. Again, I try not to be a hypocrite. I don't think I would. I'll tell you, just so you don't get pulled up. I'll pull you over and your music's too loud. I'm saying, look, man, just turn it down. But I'm not gonna give you a ticket because look, if I had it in the police car, I'd turn it up. And some of them do. Look, I like music. I like music. You can't necessarily hear what's happening in the streets with the music banging, but it is what it is. But that's all. You just, again, a decorum. Just like we train people how to raise your hand to ask the teacher a question. You just don't talk out of turn. It's still things you just got to learn.
Yeah.
And just like we all know, what do your parents tell you? Get home. That's it.
Yeah.
Be safe. I'm praying for you, but make it home.
Yep.
And that's any encounter, anything we see on these streets, we want to make it home.
Yep.
And that's another thing. When you're dealing with that, you have to be respectful and remember, I'm trying to get home. Even if I'm going to be delayed and I'm going to sit in this jail cell for a minute, I want to be able to go home eventually.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I want to meet you, Lord, but I don't want to meet you with that encounter,
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Jack. I went off on a tangent. But but the church has to plant that seed and, again, welcome our youth back. Give them something to look forward to coming in and get them involved so the community can change. Because if we're not doing anything, and we've seen generation after generation, what's changed about LA besides the cars and a few different businesses and whatever? But I go down certain streets that have been the same, look the same since I was a kid. It's like, what's really changed?
Yeah.
And like you said, with now, with robbery, smash and grab, and just violence and everything just amplified, it's like, come on, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
And the reason why I put that question on because when I was in seminary, we had to do an assignment they call exegeting the city, right? And it's pretty much it's like 2 Timothy 2:15, right? Rightfully divide the word, right? You got to take out, right, what God has given to you, like looking at the whole city. And I did just a few square miles from my house to I did Imperial and Western to Florence and Western. And one of the main things that I saw on every single corner, there was a church. Across the street from that corner was a liquor store.
Right.
Across the street from that corner was a dispensary. So it was church, liquor store, dispensary, church, liquor store, dispensary on every block.
Right.
I'm sitting here like, oh, this is crazy. But you don't notice it because you just driving down just willy-nilly. I'm going to work. I'm not really paying attention. But when you actually take a step back and look at it, I'm like, why?
Right. And the only thing new in that equation is the dispensary. Yeah. Because church, liquor store, that's all we got.
Yeah.
Come on. You're right.
And the church would probably be the church. In some of the dispensaries, most of the dispensaries in the hood are black owned, right? But the church is the main staple that has been black since its institution. The liquor store we ain't never owned them, but some of them we have. We had some people in mini marts. But Trey, what do you think about the church's responsibility on the social climate?
I feel like what Juan's saying, if we sold out or whatever for tax or whatever it is at the nonprofit or whatever you were trying to say, if that's the way that we just gonna say, all right, we can't affect this because of a money situation or whatever it is, then I feel like he said, we sold out. I feel like as a church or people in the church, we're supposed to go out and get people to Christ. We're supposed to bring people to Christ. So if we're not able to, do that by being scared of just something that man made up, I feel like we're failing everybody. I feel like the church is failing people.
Definitely.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this was an awesome conversation. I think, I don't know, this was only our 3rd episode, but this one I really loved and enjoyed. I just want to go to our next segment, which is questions from the collection.
Questions from the collection plate. Sorry.
That's all right.
I'm gonna make you do like a sound bite just so I won't have to do it. Too funny. All right, it's on the table. Trey, you had some questions for Juan, like 1 or 2?
Questions for Juan. All right, so
just the tape.
So you said earlier that your wife was the reason why you got back in the church.
Mhm.
What was the reason why you got out of the church in the first place?
I think just like Jack said, the evolution. Just, you know, I'm gonna tell you, as a kid, because of the religion, Seventh-day Adventist, you couldn't do anything from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. So when is high school football usually?
Friday.
When is everything usually? Weekend, Friday. So
Yeah.
that was the disconnect, and the churches we went to, they didn't have that social thing for us to do, you know. I mean, I know we weren't doing it Friday night per se, because, you know, the restrictions, but just, you would have had to set something up. But we all go to schools that are public schools that it's a certain way, so how do I navigate what I want to do? So I was rebellious, you know, I'm gonna try to go anyway. So that was part of it. And just growing up, you know, you get old. Now I got a car, I got a license, you know, I'm bouncing to her church. I might go, I'm not going to mine, but I'm doing what she's doing. So, and then necessarily wasn't church. So that's pretty much how I got out of it. But I think now we've incorporated, just like Christine was saying earlier, the music has changed. So now you can come to church, you can hear some gospel rap, you can hear regular music.
Yeah.
If it's nothing wrong with listening to Frankie Beverly and Mays while we're having a social event at this church, because it's love music. I mean, come on, let's be real. God is love, so why can't I listen to love songs?
Amen. Yes.
You know, so, and music back in the day was a lot more love. They had, you know, it's always been some filth, and it's always been the stuff we gonna party to, and we gonna party to a little filth.
you get
Come
enough?
on.
Sorry.
There you go. Come on now. But again, we got to open the doors, and that's why I was out of it. I matured, and I wanted to do other things. I wanted to see the world and be a part of those Friday night football games. I wanted to go and do my thing. And of course, once, you know, but then you get that calling, and I still want to do my thing, but I know I want to do it and still be respectful and still serve the Lord. So we can always, like I can go to work and we could chop it up while I'm putting the handcuffs on you and talk about the Lord. Now, you know what you did, and you know the Lord can get you out of this.
Yeah. I've seen
I
that
may
done.
not be able to do it right now, because some things, there's the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. Some things you can't let go. Some things you can say, man, you know what? Well, go on.
Yeah.
Just don't get caught slipping. But other things happen, and you got to go. But you can still say, look, man, this ain't it.
Yeah.
You still got a purpose.
Yeah.
Look, a lot of people in the Bible spent a little time in prison, did some things. But you got to even look at Jesus. Let's just be real. Jesus picked 12 guys that wasn't. He didn't pick the Pharisee. He didn't pick the rabbi. He didn't pick the lawyer. He didn't pick the doctor. He picked some fishermen, some rough dudes. And I always say that's why if Peter could be right next to Jesus and still say and do the things he did, cut the man's ear off, deny him, all that, and he had Jesus right next to him, of course I'm gonna say filth the foreign filth a few times, because you know Jesus is in my heart, but he ain't sitting right next to me. And so I think we get a little, you know, a little leeway to be us.
Yeah.
And Jesus always, he didn't use the little polished ones. He used the rough ones. So I think we have an obligation, just like an ex-gangbanger can talk to a kid to not gangbang, because he's walked in those shoes, so he's gonna listen to him.
Yeah.
A dope fiend can talk to a kid.
Yeah.
A killer can talk to a kid. Those are the kind of cats you want to come to the Lord, so they can go out into the community.
Yeah.
We can't deny what we've done, because our everything we've done, our tests, they're testimonies, right?
Yeah.
Everything we've been through, experiences are testimonies to bring the youth in.
Yeah.
So church is where you come to get fixed. You ain't got to be fixed yet, but you come here to get fixed.
Yeah.
So, and that's the problem I had too, coming back to church. I'm like, I ain't ready. But again, who is ready? You'll never be right.
Yeah.
That's why you come back.
Yeah.
And you thank the Lord that he directed you and saved you from all this nonsense, because we don't know what's around the corner, but it's a lot of foolishness out there.
Yeah.
And we got to thank God we're here.
Yep.
Yep.
You know, at this time and this moment. So this is the time to reach out and say, come on back, because tomorrow, the next second ain't promised, you know?
That part.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next one is, well, I don't know if you guys you probably know the story of how Jeffrey Dahmer, you know, did what he did.
Yeah.
Right.
But in the story, at the end of it, he was able to come and find Jesus and get baptized and things like that. What's your guys' opinion on somebody of that nature doing something that crazy, being able to come back to God?
And I didn't.
You haven't seen it?
He didn't finish the series.
Oh, you
I didn't even
finished it?
start it. Technically.
Yeah.
I watched it.
It's certain things I know that trigger me. Like that triggers me. Central Park 5, that'll trigger me.
Right.
I ain't gonna watch it because
Right.
I'm gonna be mad for a week, and I don't want to be mad that long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but okay, so like what I just said. So you knowing what happened or having knowledge of what happened and hearing that he did get baptized once he got into prison and stuff like that.
Okay.
What's your opinion on how, people should see him afterwards, after hearing about that?
Woo.
As a Christian.
Woo. Is that towards me?
Okay, I can make it towards you. if you were somebody that was affected by it, as a Christian, would you be able to forgive him?
That's a hard
Right.
There you go.
It's
No.
Kim.
I mean, because, Bible tells you, Jesus says you're supposed to give 7 times 7 times 7 times 7. And the reason why you're supposed to do that is because every day you got to look at this person and you're going to be reminded of what they did. So every day you look at them, you got to forgive them. Right? I don't know if forgiveness means forgetting. No.
Nah.
I'm not, because you're still reminded of it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess I don't know. I guess it goes, like my mind drifts. It goes to like, fool me once, shame on you, fool me
Right.
twice, shame
Right.
on me, or
Right.
however you flip it. But
He fooled people multiple times.
Yeah.
Multiple.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I could forgive him, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to be around him,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
But then it's like, I can't judge the heart. Only God could do that.
There you
go.
So
Amen.
he's gonna know where his heart is truly.
Right.
And I can't really say whether he was saved or not. That ain't for me to say.
Right.
You could say you love Jesus, but your actions are going to show if you really love Jesus.
Yeah.
Right? And that's literally something that is in the heart.
Right.
So I'm not one to say that you're saved, you're condemned, you're anything like that. I'm just like, all right, cool, you were baptized. All right, cool. I could help you in studying if you want to learn more about Jesus. But that's as far as that relationship is going to go. Because quite honestly, I don't like looking at you.
Right.
I'm just be honest with you,
Right,
bro.
we're
It's-
human.
It's,
Come on,
it's,
exactly.
it's rough right now.
Right.
I want to be on
Right.
you, across this table.
That's funny. I have to say the same though. Like, if it was like one of my sons that was his victim, I don't know if I might say
Is the light on?
the light is on.
Oh,
Oh,
there
there we
you
go.
go. There you go.
Awesome. No, if I was like one of the mothers, ooh, I would definitely, just want to strangle him. But then again, if he got baptized and saved and things like that, that's not on me. That's something that he had to do with God. I can't really judge him on that or anything like that. Will I forgive him? I have to forgive in my heart, because if I don't, then that'll start to eat me up.
Yeah.
And then God knows what I would actually do if I'll put that towards somebody else in my family,
right.
if it'll make me physically sick, So sometimes you just got to let things go,
Yeah.
but never forget,
Yeah.
because you don't want the same thing to happen and
Yeah.
then you're on a hamster wheel,
Yeah.
So, that was a series.
Wow.
Why?
Yeah, I echo what you all have said. I like you said, we can't read your heart. All we know is what we've seen, and the proof is in the pudding. So I'm not gonna want to be alone with you, but God bless you, and I hope your heart is sincere. you
Yeah.
know, and again, like you said, if it's a family member, somebody close to me that was a victim, that's a hard pill to swallow. I know we gotta, and just like Deacon Martin just said, we ain't there yet. trying to get that maturity, but I don't know. Not yet. Not yet.
Oh man.
What about you, Trey?
I know you brought up the question.
exactly.
What would you do?
Where I'm at, no. I couldn't even see myself ever forgiving them. You know? And just like some of the family members, or even like the lady that was a next door neighbor to him that had her house being stunk up by him and the bodies and stuff like that. Like she went to church to see if she, to see what she could do to be able to forgive him, but she still said like, I don't think I'll ever be able to do it. I don't think I would be able to. I'll be trying to get into the jail to get to him.
Yeah.
That's just some crazy stuff, man.
Yeah.
That's
What he
why
did
I
to them
didn't watch
people.
it, because
Yeah.
he gone. I'm like, bruh.
Yeah, hearing what he did to those people was crazy.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Well, thank y'all for being with us on the altar call, discussing the youth on crisis. Juan and Trey, do y'all have any final words?
I think y'all doing a good job with what y'all doing right here. Cause like I said earlier, it's hard to get back into the church, but y'all found something that I'm interested in and was able to get me back to come even to do this and fellowship with y'all.
Appreciate you.
I feel like y'all doing a good thing, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I echo that same here. Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
I'm gonna tune in
Good job.
every week now, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
You guys are doing a great job. Have me back, please.
Yeah,
Definitely will.
good.
Well, thank y'all for tuning in. Whoever is watching right now, we truly appreciate it. Be sure to join us again at the altar call on October 28th. Did I get that right? Okay, hold on real quick. October 23rd, not the 28th, y'all. October 23rd, we'll have our next episode. And if you're watching right now, please like and comment. We love any type of interaction, any questions that you have. That way we can bring it to the collection plate. And also, don't forget about the AIM service that will be going on October 9th. Ooh,
Whoa.
October 16th?
Yeah.
As y'all can
Today's the
tell,
night.
I have problems with dates.
October 9th.
But that means anybody can do this. Anyways, October 16th, we will have our AIM service, which is all youth ran. So we have some special surprises, some special guest performance, and you don't want to miss that. Seriously, please join. Please make sure that we support our youth. That way we can get them back into the church and have them more involved.
Wear a costume.
We haven't even talked about the costume, but yes.
But wear a costume.
in theme. But we love y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining the altar call, and everybody have a blessed week. Peace.
Amen.
Sweetie.